Hello, this is Dr. Heather Lee, and this is a discussion about research-based instructional strategies, specifically non-linguistic representations for EDS 318. I hope that you are doing well today. Well, this concept is very simple, although it uses some pretty big words in it. So don't be intimidated by the non-linguistic or the research-based instructional strategies. We're going to walk through it. Basically, one question that educators are asked is, how do you know that what you're doing is effective? We've talked about this quite a bit in our class. We need to prove that our students are achieving. And in order to do that, we need to be able to analyze, be reflective about ourselves and our teaching. But we also need researchers who do studies and experiments and who determine whether certain things work and whether they don't work. This is a lot more effective than just a teacher in a classroom saying, yeah, I'm pretty sure it works. This is actual research and data that proves that certain strategies work or don't work. And one of the main researchers in education is named Robert Marzano. You might have heard of him before. He's written several very important books, and one book that he wrote in 2001 is called Classroom Instruction That Works: Research-Based Strategies for Increasing Student Achievement. And he and his group of colleagues did research to find out what are the best things that teachers can do in a classroom to truly get student achievement, to truly help students to learn and make progress. And they came up in their research with 9 strategies, 9 things that we can do as teachers, ways that we can teach that help students learn. So we need to pay very close attention to these 9 strategies. Some of them are just as simple enough as understanding what they are and then including them in your lesson plans and in your classroom. They're that simple. Others of them you need to learn a little bit more how to do those specific strategies. And several of these we'll be discussing in more depth in our class. So let's first talk about what those 9 research-based instructional strategies are. Okay? These are strategies that strongly affect student achievement. The first one is identifying similarities and differences. That's a very simple concept, to have 2 things that you're looking at, or 3 things or 4, and saying, okay, what's the same about these? What is different? This is comparing and contrasting. Now, you see in parentheses there, it says 45 percentile gain. What that means is that in their research, when teachers used similarities and differences, when they taught and had the students identify similarities and differences, their students had a 45 percentile gain in their scores compared to beforehand and compared to teachers who didn't use those. And 45 is a huge percentile gain. This is the number 1 strategy. This came out with the highest percentile gain. So we should certainly be finding every opportunity to do this, to find similarities and differences between a variety of things. Number 2, summarizing and note-taking, a 34 percentile gain. Okay, that's a pretty simple concept, to have students summarize information, making sure they're understanding how to pull out the key facts, and making sure that students understand and learn how to take notes, how to pull out the most important information. The third instructional strategy that strongly affects student achievement was reinforcing effort and providing recognition. All right, this is being very positive to our students, reinforcing their effort, showing them that because of their effort, this is what they received, this is something they achieved, and encouraging that effort so that they will continue to use that effort and to give even more effort. Recognizing them, recognizing their work, recognizing their strengths, recognizing their consistency, recognizing all kinds of things about them. So when we teachers have that kind of perspective, and we instruct our class that way, our students learn more. Number 4, homework and practice. And this might surprise some people. There are many people who feel that homework is a waste of time, but if that homework is aligned to the learning goals, and if it's very clear what students should do with their homework, and that homework gives them practice at doing things that are new to them, then it will strongly affect their student achievement. Number 5 are non-linguistic representations. That's what we're discussing today, so we'll get back to that. Number 6, this is the 6th instructional strategy that strongly affected student achievement, is cooperative learning. And cooperative learning is not just group work. It's not putting 2 people or 4 people together and saying, do it. Cooperative learning is when you set up a situation where everybody in the group has a role to play, and their score, their achievement, their success is dependent on everybody doing their part. And so it's very structured. You can't have people in groups who've probably all experienced this, where one person does the bulk of the work because they want to get a good grade, and other people are like, oh good, I'm in Sally's group, I'll get an A. But this is where you set it up so that everybody has to participate. Number 7, setting objectives and providing feedback. Now, we've talked a lot about setting objectives or learning goals. So this is something we do as teachers. But then you also share those learning goals with your students, and you give them feedback about how well they are meeting those goals. So when they complete a homework assignment, when they're giving a group presentation, you draw their attention back to what they should have been learning and how well they are meeting those goals. That is a lot more effective than just saying they got an 88 on the assignment. Number 8, the 8th strategy that strongly affects student achievement is generating and testing hypotheses. This is along the lines of predicting and having your students determine what might happen if. And so they generate these hypotheses and then they test them. They try to figure out whether they will or will not work. And then number 9 are questions, cues, and advanced organizer. You know what a question is, and these are specifically higher level questions. Cues are basically hints that we give our students, and we're guiding them to the right answer. It's not necessarily a question, but maybe we say, remember when we blah, 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 and you're kind of leading them because they can't quite get there on their own. And an advanced organizer is something that you give students in advance to help them understand what you're about to do. It's something that you do beforehand. You're setting the stage. It could even be a graphic organizer that we'll talk about today. But it's a way that you, instead of just digging into the information, you give them some type of structure to help them understand it better. So in this video today, we are talking specifically about non-linguistic representations. And don't let that term confuse you. All this means, linguistic has to do with language and words, and that's the primary way we tend to teach students. It's the way I'm teaching you right now. I'm talking to you, linguistic. Or when you have to read about it, that's linguistic. Non-linguistic typically refers to visual. This is when we're not teaching the students with words by talking to them or reading, but we are showing it to them. We're showing them relationships. We're showing them patterns. Here's a quote from Marzano. The bottom of it, I apologize, might be cut off for you, but I'll read the entire thing to you. This explains why non-linguistic representations are so important. The more we use both systems of representation, linguistic and non-linguistic, the better we are able to think about and recall knowledge. This is particularly relevant in the classroom because studies have shown that the primary way we present new knowledge to students is linguistic. We either talk to them about the new content or we have them read about the new content. This means that students are commonly left to their own devices to generate non-linguistic representations. When teachers help students with this kind of work, however, the effects on achievement are strong. It has been shown that explicitly engaging students in the creation of non-linguistic representation stimulates and increases activity in the brain. So that is excellent research-based evidence that using non-linguistic representations and even coaching students to develop their own and create their own either together or by themselves is a very powerful way to help students learn and remember what we're teaching them. So here are some ways you might think, okay, so how do I do that? I know how to speak to students. I know that they can read chapters in the textbook, but how do I make it non-linguistic for them? And here are some simple ways to do it. First of all, creating graphic representations or graphic organizers. And that's what you'll be doing for your assignment. So I'm going to go past that because you'll do it. But this is when you create a picture, a graphic organizer for them. Number 2, making physical models. That's where you literally have physical things, whether it's Legos, whether it's marshmallows on sticks, whether it's all kinds of things, but they actually create a model. Another one is generating mental pictures, and this is very powerful. This is when you might have your students close their eyes while you read a passage to them, and you are asking them to picture in their mind each part. They're making a movie in their head about what you're teaching them. And that is very powerful for the brain. It's generating a mental picture. Simply drawing pictures and pictographs, those are non-linguistic representations. And then just engaging in kinesthetic activity, where you act something out, where you give students motions or movements of their hands, movements of the body, things that they associate with events and what they're trying to learn. So kinesthetic, getting up and moving, adding motions to things. Now, there are a number of types of graphic organizers. These are some of the many that there are. You can have some that specifically help you compare and contrast, like Venn diagrams, descriptive patterns, time sequence, cause and effect, an episode, that's like a key event, a generalization or a principle, concept patterns, concept maps. In fact, here is a concept map right here, where on top we have our main concept, maybe it's the Revolutionary War, and then we start connecting it to its main parts. Maybe the main battles, the main objectives of the war it could be. And then you continue on with all these boxes below, and it's helping you and your students to make sense of the entire war, the entire American Revolution, the entire event, whatever it is that you're teaching. So this is one example of a concept map. Now, for this assignment, you're going to have an activity that is a graphic organizer assignment. And let me briefly show you what you're going to do. You're going to go to a website that's called www.educationworld.com, and up near the top, click on Tools and Templates. It's right under the Teacher section. Then scroll down, and under Tools and Templates, the 10th one is called Graphic Organizer Templates. And if you pick on one, like maybe the spider map template, you click on it, and it will give you an example. It'll show you what that spider template looks like. Here's a little bit of a fuzzy example, but you can kind of see how that's the shape of a spider. And then you click down here where it says to download this document. So I'm gonna open this for now. I'll save it on my computer later. But I'm opening this document on my computer, and then I literally can click on each of these and replace this. You need to first think about what key topic this is going to be, and these are different branches of it. But you need to think about your content and what type of graphic organizer might work best. So that is going to be your assignment. I want you to click on and look at basically all of these different graphic organizer templates that we have. And give me just a second. I want to make sure I'm not running out on time. Okay, I'm just going to talk quickly. So I apologize if there's a little bit of a gap in the tape. I'm not sure where I stopped it, but let me just continue. You're going to study almost all of these graphic organizer templates and think about which one will be a good fit for something you are teaching in your unit. And then you're going to download it, and you're actually going to put in all of the information that you would teach to your students. Even though you might give your students a blank graphic organizer and have them take notes on it during your lesson, maybe you complete it on the computer while your students are listening, that's fine, but you need to give it to me in the finished format where all of the content information is in there. And make sure whatever template you fit correctly helps your students to see relationship. You'll see that there are different there's different ways of thinking. There are different purposes for these various templates, various graphic organizers. So that's what you're going to do for the graphic organizer assignment, and you'll be completing that, turning it in, and then using it for a lesson in your unit plan. And I would encourage you to use these for several units, several lessons. This is a great way to take what you are teaching and to make it more usable for your students, more understandable, and it gives you a guide for your teaching. It gives you something to do along with maybe a lecture or a speaking part that you're doing. All right, so this is graphic organizers, and I hope you enjoy downloading several of them, maybe even for your future use, and using them for this assignment.